Hello Capricorn, and welcome back to my Body and Heart Tarot Therapy. I'm here to do reading for December 2019. I hope you're well, Capricorn. I pre-shuffled your cards. So this is a general reading for Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Rising signs. If it resonates, and if it doesn't, then it just doesn't. Alright, my dear Capricorn, I hope you're well after this Scorpio season that it's always a bit tough, it's always deep, but it's always good for us. And this Mercury retrograde, well, it did its thing, it just came out. We're going through the post-shadows period now where we're processing all that, but you know what, it runs as your current energy. So yeah, downloads for sure. Getting information in fast. King of Pentacles, here's your card, Capricorn, but it comes as your challenge. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna put this down a bit so you can actually see the cards. All right, let's see what is the focus for Capricorn. Actually, this is supposed to be the Capricorn card, apparently, but for me, they feel very... For me, the Queen of Pentacles, the way I perceive her, is not so Capricorn-like, but the King of Pentacles, to me, it feels more. But, of course, there are many schools of thoughts in tarot. Eight of Swords is your advice. Let's see, where is this taking you? Knight of Swords as your future energy. All right, and bottom of the deck, we have the Five of Swords as your underlying energy. So basically, this is the theme of your reading. This is what you're working with this month of December. Well, they're not exactly that specific in time. Most of the time, people, whenever they actually open up this reading, the current energy would be what resonates. So if whenever you read you watch this, whether it's before December, this is kind of where you're at right now, and it's gonna follow through. If you watch this at the end of December, you might resonate with more of it, or it can still be that that's your current energy and this is kind of unfolding. But you see, they tie up. All right, so let's clarify these cards. Five of Swords as your theme. So we are dealing with conflicts of some sort, Capricorn, in December. But yeah, let's get deeper into that. Let's have the Six of Wands with the Eight of Wands as your current energy. Beautiful. The Queen of Wands with the King of Pentacles as your challenge. The Seven of Cups with the Queen of Pentacles as your focus. The Eight of Cups with the Eight of Swords as your advice. Ooh la la. 2 eights. And the King of Swords with the Knight of Swords as your future energy. Wow. Okay, and bottom of the deck, to go along with your theme, is the Queen of Swords. So Queen of Swords and Five of Swords. You have wow. You have the Knight, the Queen, and the King of Swords in this reading. So you're going through quite a big mental process. And I think you're processing really the way you're showing up. What's the place that you're showing up from? With people, I mean. But also within yourself. Like whenever they're always tied to each other. The way we treat people is very similar to the way we treat ourselves. How kind we are with people outside of ourselves is a sort of a reflection of how kind we really are with ourselves. The way we judge ourselves, we're going to judge other people, and the other way around. And the Five of Swords talks about, like, victories and power games and um, putting someone down in order to raise yourself up and things like this. And Capricorn, you're really lovely. You have so many amazing traits, but you can somehow sometimes get trapped in this type of like show of power. And it's fantastic when it just happens naturally, when you stand in your power. But when you prove your power, when you want to prove someone else that you're powerful, that's coming from a place of actually vulnerability. You're having difficulties being vulnerable, so you're feeling somehow maybe intimidated or scared, so you're going to raise yourself up by putting someone else down. And if that doesn't necessarily apply with your relationships right now, maybe you're more in an isolated mode, maybe you're not necessarily following through with that much. It can very well be with your inner world. Look at your inner dialogue here. See, this is swords energy, so it has to do with your mind. What's your thoughts? Notice how your thoughts show up. Are your thoughts really coming as a maybe problem solving, because the brain is a problem solving machine, generating thoughts as a medium to solve those problems? But we can get trapped in them. And the Five of Swords here can be like inner conflict, can be maybe you're very harsh on yourself, maybe you are bullying a part of yourself, maybe the inner bully shows up and it picks on the part of you that's more vulnerable or that's more scared or things like this. So check, really, really look at what's happening in your mind right now. It comes with the Queen of Swords. Yes, the Queen of Swords, she's really understanding of herself. She understands herself the best. She had so many different experiences in her life. She's been through everything, good and bad. Therefore, she knows what she needs. She knows her worth. She doesn't need to prove anyone anything. She's not afraid to, whenever she feels vulnerable, she's going to put like clear boundaries. But she knows how to cope with her vulnerability. She's can take a lot of alone time. She's very focused, very sharp-minded, very witty, very smart. My point is that having these two together here as your underlying energy, I think that you're learning how to put your boundaries without having to go here in the Five of Swords. Like putting your boundaries in the sense of, okay, yeah, I notice that I'm vulnerable right now. I notice that I'm not comfortable in whatever dynamics just showed up here. Therefore, instead of like going into my pattern of power games and like trying to look like a smart ass or trying to project power of some sort to just not feel threatened, I will simply state it. Oh, I'm not comfortable with this, and here are my boundaries. I prefer to not touch the subject, or please do not address me in this way, or please do not touch me. Things like this that we are sometimes afraid to communicate because we think that they sound selfish or they sound silly or they are too revealing. But there's power in vulnerability. There's real power there. And there's real power in like really observing and keeping a cool mind about seeing what's really happening inside you, honoring what's happening inside you. If you see this inner Buddha showing up, whether trying to act out into the world or in your inner world, by creating like this observing space, is when we literally learn what we're dealing with. That's information. We need that information. Okay, let's see where this is going. You're going through a very intense psychological process, I think. You're learning a lot about yourself, and that's really, really good. Oh, this was the other way around. Okay. Okay, so current energy, eight of Wands with the Six of Wands. Eight of Wands talks about like really fast moving energy, things happening suddenly. But it's usually deep understanding, maybe downloads from the universe of some sort, like information coming through. Coming maybe from your more like spiritual self, from your higher self. And you Capricorn can be quite like attached to the earth, quite grounded, quite uh, you can call it materialistic, but not necessarily just looking for money and fame, but even though there's that too. But like simply very grounded in a physical reality, as opposed to other signs that tend to be a little bit more. Some of them are completely ungrounded, like maybe Pisces is all over the place. Uh, not only, it's just components of our chart, really. Like if your Capricorn is your sun, moon, or rising, you're going to relate to your Capricorn traits and side differently. And it's up to you, for example, to understand how you relate with your this reading. Anyhow, my point was that you tend to maybe be too anchored in the physical and not pay so much attention to the spiritual. Um, but I think that right now you're starting to shift that a little bit. And maybe this is why this whole psychological process tends to show up, because you need to deal with this, You're opening yourself up to higher realities, to parts of that your mind can't really understand and grasp so well. You're opening yourself up to different type of knowledge that comes from sources that are not of the logical kind, that are not from physical realm. And that can be very confusing. Yes, that can be very ungrounding. And that's where you're the most like, it can be terrifying, right? It can be. But I don't see that much fear going up here. You might be just like but maybe that what makes you feel vulnerable, and this is why this Five of Swords may show up as your theme here, learning how to cope with this guy. Okay, there's something I didn't mention with the Five of Swords. The Five of Swords also means growth from the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords, like they're all a journey, right? The Four of Swords is like taking a break from conflict and like resting your mind. But the Five of Swords is like, okay, I reached some type of stability in the Four of Swords of my lower mind, my ego, but it's time for me to grow. But it's this uncertain growth. It's that growth that comes from fear. It's like you don't have much to land on. So this is why it can feel like conflictual and a little bit bullying. Okay, so here we go. We have some interesting awareness and shifts in your awareness, right? And the Six of Wands, I think that you're starting to really acknowledge them and accept them, not doubt them so much anymore. And I think other people are seeing them too. So for those of you that this reading resonates, I'm sure it's not going to really resonate with everyone. I think that people around you start maybe seeing these real changes within you. Maybe you started softening up the shell every once in a while. Maybe you start communicating things that weren't in your character, and you start acting maybe from a place that shows more warmth, maybe. The six, the ones is also is young energies, action energies, our passion, our creative energy is what we're putting out into the world. But it's usually coming from our soul, really. That's why it's like more spiritual energy. All right, so that's an amazing place to be. Congrats for making it there, Capricorn. And I'm glad that you're seeing it, and I'm glad that other people are seeing it too, because we know that we don't need validation, but we need validation most of the time. And we learn how to not rely on that validation so much anymore as we kind of grow into growing more intimate with ourselves, and grow on a spiritual path, and that personal growth that comes with maturity. But we still, like, when things like this happen, where like, my mind or my perception opens up to something completely different, we need to find people that can validate my experience. Otherwise, I think maybe I'm crazy, maybe I lost it. What was this? What was this knowledge that suddenly comes to me? Was this understanding that comes? I can't base this on anything, I must have lost it, so having some type of like people seeing it too, it really helps you to relax into it. Yet, what it seems to be challenging for you right now is to really be in your to apply this in your physical reality. The King of Pentacles, he's a builder, he's a creator, he's very abundant. He knows how to manipulate the market. He knows how to make money. He knows how to run businesses. He knows how to provide, and he knows how to also indulge himself in all the money that he makes. And he's also like sharing it with his family, but he can be a little bit materialistic, yes. So maybe like right now you're having troubles to take all this deep understanding and spiritual side of you and integrate it into your physical reality, the way the King of Pen in your archetype, in how you identified yourself so far. It's such a huge shift of how you see yourself, really, that it may cause a little bit of a split. And we're like, okay, wait, who am I again? With the Queen of Wands here as well. I think you're again, there's growth happening. Obviously, there's a lot of growth happening. The Queen of Wands, she's like on the top of her suit. She's the queen. She is very spiritual. She's very connected to her intuition, to creativity, to her passion, to her sexuality, to her inner knowledge, witchy stuff, whatever. She's incredibly gifted, and she knows it. But she also knows that she's not perfect, and that's perfectly fine for her. She plays by her. She's full of confidence for exactly who she is. She was been through her process, and she learned to accept each and every aspect of herself. Okay? I think that the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands, these two they seem to be different characters within you. One can show up and not the other, or the other way around. And maybe you'll start observing yourself shifting from one to another, and you obviously you can become a little bit defensive and come into this like maybe aggressive position. No, the best defense is aggressiveness sometimes, or the attack. How was it? Because you're a bit confused. Hell yeah, you're confused. These two can coexist. And what you need to do in order for allowing these two to get to know each other, we're still talking about aspects of yourself, yeah? We're still talking about how you identify yourself and how is your reality coming along now with all this, like, you not necessarily a huge spiritual awakening, but still there's some shift, there's a lot of moving energy, and there's something that you're starting to perceive and understand, and that can throw you a little bit off balance. And again, when we see this split, we're asking yourself again and again, am I going mad, or why? Most of the time we actually don't even notice when we jump from one archetype to another. we're like just being triggered for one reason or another. Here I am, my shields are up, and I start enacting, or I start like defending myself, and I start acting in a way that I can't even tell I'm becoming this person. We have all these inner contradictions and stuff, and here I am being all about love and connection and stuff, or understanding all about boundaries and stuff, and the next moment I don't know what happened in my environment that created this shift between my inner selves, and then a bully comes up, and here I am crossing somebody else's boundaries, even though I had maybe a long speech about boundaries 5 minutes earlier. It's very interesting to see these inner contracts, but these are masters, they're king and a queen there. So it's good that I think you came into the point where you can observe them, you can start seeing the shift happening. And with the Queen of Pentacles and the Seven of Cups here as your focus is definitely getting grounded here. Definitely really coming into your, yes, your earthy energy, but not necessarily from the drive of necessity. The kings, you talk about necessity, but more from the drive of the heart, connecting to your feminine earthy energy, to your nurturing side, to your practical, but the ones that's the practical energy within you that's supposed to keep you keep you safe, keep you give and create a container for yourself. Queen of Pentacles, she's like really she's a nurturer. She knows how to raise a family. She gives it all for her family, but she's taking care of herself here. See, she's actually depicted alone, holding her coin there with a lot of like care and love. See that the like she's so serene here. So she's definitely taking care of herself here and is connected to the earth. She's connected with the season. She understands growth at a pace of like this divine timing. She understands abundance, and she understands fertility. She knows how to keep a very, very strong balance and great environment to create growth for her family and for others. Is yin energy. Yin energy is like containing. So that's what you're doing, right? You're focusing on this, and it's good. She's also dressed in red here, and there's red here too. There's a lot of people dressed in red here. So I think that having this like it means also connecting to your body, in your mindful way, connecting to your senses, really, in sensual way. She reminds me a lot of the Empress as well, and the Empress also talks about Venus, senses, enjoying good food, enjoying like small routines that help you really really nurture yourself. Maybe cooking something that's really tasty but healthy as well. Maybe enjoying going a very nice walk in the park, and allowing yourself the space and the time to reflect about everything that shows up here. And it comes to the Seven of Cups, and the Seven of Cups talks about confusion, talks about like being maybe in altered states. So yeah, there's all these downloads happening. There's all these inner personas showing up, and you start observing them. So of course there's a lot of confusion and maybe a little bit of fear that comes with that, because you have a lot of emotional reactions to it. See, this cups energy is emotion, but it's seven, so seven talks about the physical realm. So it's more like you're taking stock of the physical aspect of your emotions here. And that's what the Queen of Pentacles is. She's great at doing this. She's ruled by the heart. Her driver is the heart, and she knows how to nurture herself physically, and she knows how to detect her emotions at a physical level. She feels in her body her emotions, not in her mind. She doesn't get lost in loops and loops and loops of thinking and analyzing and so on. She understands that in order to heal, she needs to feel. and she feels it in a physical way. She's not either, she doesn't lose herself in these emotions, It's not about like tripping off of these emotions either. Okay, so focus your body and your emotions in your physical body. Trace them down, feel them through, and what's you're going. The confusion will be dispelled if you use your senses, really using your senses that you're equipped with. I have the King and Queen of Pentacles, and we have the King and Queen of Swords. It may have to do with some soulmates connections rising up here, and third party situations and stuff, but this is not the way that this particular reading is going. It may just be for a group of you out there that find themselves in that situations, so I'm not going to touch that. Okay, Eight of Swords with the Eight of Cups. Sorry, I don't know why I have always trouble saying sometimes, like I have it right in front of me and I'm like, come on, say it. It's cups, it's wands, it's whatever. So I have the 7 and the 8 of wands. So there's obviously growth happening, and this is your advice, right? Find it always very interesting to have the 8 of swords as advice. But what the 8 of swords says, especially as advice, is that okay, watch where your mind is limiting you. Look at it, observe it again. It's a lot of observing energy, contemplation energy here. It's maybe a lot of action going on in here, but the point is like now is time to see how that action affected us, and how this movement, how we perceive it. It's like there's an enactment again and again of your inner drama here. And like everyone else, we have amazing parts of ourselves, this Queen of Wands, which maybe you have troubles really honoring right now what she's present within you. The King of Pentacles is a very familiar energy to you. The Queen of Pentacles is as well somebody that you can play that role easily once you connect to that, you center yourself in that energy. But we also have our challenges and difficulties and limitations that come from our mind most of the time. So, and imagine this, like the eights both talk, and we have 3 eights here. All the eights talk about reaching a bigger stability, a really stable ground after the like it's a different type of stability than the force. The force just talk about like more lower mind, lower physical, lower more simple type of stability. It can also feel a bit stuck. Four of Pentacles, for example, is quite stuck energy. There it needs to grow. Well, eights talk about reaching both lower but also higher. That's the 8. Also higher stability. So the 8 of swords actually can be read as like, okay, so here you are, your mind starts understanding certain things. Because it's expanded itself enough, you can start now seeing where is not serving you and where it does. And it's the same with your emotions. You have enough emotional stability right now to not be the victim of your emotions. You can take a conscious decision to move away from what doesn't serve you anymore, or what you doesn't like, what you've learned your lessons. It's okay. You tasted the cup that made sense to you. You chose what you needed. You had the experience. Enough is enough, whatever it is, good or bad. There's those times where we realize there's certain things that maybe were fun for us when we were younger, they suddenly just have no more flavor anymore. So this person is going out there and is looking for the missing cup, the 9th cup, which is wish fulfillment. So look at this, like what is it that holds you back? What makes you feel powerless? What hold you back from going out there and learning or seeking what is it that you really want. We all want to be able to, we have all some basic needs that need to be met. And that's the need for safety, need for connection, need for love, need to be seen, need to need to belong. And our society today became quite schizoid in a sense, and in the rise of individualism can be very skewed. We don't understand anymore. How do we relate? How do we connect? Do we belong? We don't belong, that type of stuff. And we're terrified to show ourselves, we're terrified to connect from a heart space, and we become like super defensive, or become like maybe too sharp and too aggressive or whatever. I think that you're really experiencing a coming home to yourself. It's sort of like waking up from this trance of whatever your mind was dictating, so that you have this part of you showing up in a rather aggressive way. Whatever made you feel powerless is what makes you act like this. It's behavioral, right? But your behavior is just a symptom of what makes you feel this. Look what you need. This is it. You're learning what you need. This is your advice to really understand what makes you feel fulfilled. Go out there and seek it, and know that you can do it. It's okay. Do not set yourself up for failure, for impossible expectations, so you don't have to come out of your comfort zone, won't even try anymore. Like, this person has the emotional stability to move away from something that's not good enough for them anymore. And with the Eight of Swords, this person will free herself again by feeling through her body, by feeling through her intuition. She's blindfolded. She doesn't need to use her logic right now. That's how far the mind goes. The mind can know better now, rather than create this prison, to give up on trying to find rational solutions for what's happening to you, for this whole spiritual awakening or experience that you may be having, and this psychological shift or understanding that there is no fixed self, there is no fixed reality. There is the physical reality is not as physical. Everything is changing, everything is moving, everything is, the only constant is change, impermanence. And for an earth sign like you, for the Queen and King of Pentacles, that's a little bit difficult to grasp, that everything does change. So yeah, that's what you're learning. Reach this point where you start seeing its imposed limitations, and you know that this is not going to keep running and ruminating in your mind and indulging yourself in these self-defeating thoughts. It's eventually, you're finally finding the freedom from that. And the way you do that is by really disengaging the mind and focusing to your body, focusing again to your senses, focusing on staying grounded and feeling through. She's blindfolded here, but and she's but her thighs are loose, and there's no one here watching her. She can literally be set herself free at any time if she just feels through her body. Okay, wow, if I actually struggle a little bit, if I use my force, I can set myself free. Or here I am, okay, I just feel a little bit around me. There's these swords, okay, I don't want to trip. I want to be really, really focused on my body and every movement that I do, so I don't fall and cut myself into these swords. But at the same time, I can use these swords to set myself free. Just a little bit of a touch over to the sharp side with the, I don't know, the binds, and I'm loose. Cut myself loose. So you are freeing yourself, my love. This is fantastic. You're moving away from something. You're moving away probably emotionally from this mental state. You're not allowing these thoughts to affect you emotionally the way they used to do. And the Knight of Swords and with the King of Swords here as your future energy. This Knight of Swords, like, he's going straight into this lady, and I don't think he's going for the rescue. It's more of like communication. You start to communicate more from your heart, not from your heart, but you start communicating the truth, your truth. Granted, maybe not the most elegant way of communication, but we need to learn. We have stages, but it comes with the King of Swords. And that means like crystal clear clarity. You're getting your clarity here. You're really getting it. What you were blindfolded here, what you were very confused by your emotions here, you learn to move away from what's not really serving you, and you're really getting your crystal clarity. It's coming in, and that's going to bring so much growth. That's fantastic. All right, I'm going to pull a Rumi oracle for you. Let's see what's the wisdom from the heart. Right. It's the wisdom of the heart from my dear Capricorn. This sacred phoenix heart. Let's read. So this is 21, so it's a 3, which is growth. Okay, so what this card says is, under the cover of blood, love veils many rose gardens. In total faith, love tenderly guides every lover to the garden of the heart. Reason says, the world is limited in 6 directions. There's no way out. Love says, there's a way, and I have traveled it many times. Rumi. Yeah. You learn to connect to your faith and to your inner wisdom here by connecting to your senses. And that's where love resides, within ourselves. We're looking for it outside of ourselves for some reason or another, but we're discovering it really within. Okay, let's see. So you are guided to accept the closed doors, the death, the pain, and to let it become tinder to your fire. Okay, now I need to go from the beginning here. Seems to be a big message. Okay, so love guides us through travails that seem improbable, if not impossible. Limitations. It does not shy away from any challenge, from any cause. It cannot. It just love's way. Love says to us, there is always another way. You are receiving this guidance now. Perhaps you're scratching your head quizzically and are in deepest despair because you appear to have met a dead end and a frowning no or a dismissive laugh upon your quest to bring love alive. So then, do you choose to believe in love or in the death of sorts your heart faces? Your heart shall rally. I choose death because that is the portal to new life. And so it is wise, you see, but must be brave. To be burned in love. What? To be burned in love, by love, for love will involve endurance of pain, but it will also place it in context. It is the shorter pain that is not compounded by erroneous thinking. Where was I? Sorry. That pain comes and goes quite quickly when you realize that love is simply playfully smacking your wrist and saying, "Not that way, beloved. There are great pitfalls on that path. Come take this one where there shall be wine and dancing." Okay, so from what I understand from this so far, maybe this guy kind of shows up here, the Five of Swords, maybe out of fear of rejection. So you're trying to take a position of power, and because you're feeling conflictual actually within yourself anyway. Let's keep going. So you're guided to accept the closed door, the death, the pain, and to let it become tinder for your fire. Cry whatever tears need to be cried, so your tinder can be dry and ready to create the sparks of your heart. This is what's happening here with the Seven of Cups and of the Eight of Cups. Now you're tasting your emotions, you're really feeling through them, and you're releasing them, and then that sets you free to go on a new journey. Whatever has been in these cups, you had enough of it, or it's not what you need. Looked at it, you had a taste, maybe it wasn't a very good taste, and you move away. This oracle comes with a message for you. You may feel as though you have been wandering in a desert for many years with no oasis in sight. You may have been through darkness, through trials, endured confusion and uncertainty as you sought for your truth. Sought divine revelations, which you're getting, by the way, and sought your purpose to confirm your plans. Seek no more. The answers are now given, or they will soon be, and the life, the passion, the purpose, it will all come to you in clarity. Does life need to be grasped for? It bestowed according to grace and destiny. It need not be sought so much as received. The spiritual destiny that calls your soul, even whilst you may feel your bodily ears and are deaf to the call, makes your heart leap. It is as though hearing the beloved's voice and stirring an ancient memory of love so powerful moves you, even without you necessarily understanding how or why. So let life come to you. Be prepared to let the old version of your life pass away into the new life now being born. What does this mean? It means letting go of your striving, your opinions, your doubts, your despair, and your fears. Life wants to happen through you, blazing angel. You don't have to do much other than get out of your own way. Love is your nature, let it flourish, and life shall unfold accordingly. This oracle brings a particular message regarding divine timing. I think I mentioned divine timing. That also a significant factor in our dreams coming to life. Your time is fast approaching. It may even be now. It may seem least likely to you. There may be great darkness or confusion, and yet the unveiling of the new dawn is closest to the deepest darkness of night. Do not turn back or away from your progress. Your very next step shall be upon hallowed ground, rendered golden by the rays of the rising sun. This is why this is your advice, actually. Endure, stay with whatever shows up for you, honor your experience. It may feel like darkness and confusion because she's confused as hell. Obviously, she's tied up. This guy's confused as hell. He doesn't know which cup to choose. But there's clarity coming in, and it's coming fast. You have a great opening up experience. It's prone to bring some confusion. You know, spiritual awakening is not a walk in the park. I don't know what those people that keep saying that, yeah, spiritual awakening is like something that's so fun and zen and calm. No, it's not. It's always going to bring inner resistance. It's always going to bring inner challenges and parts of us that we rejected. But, you know, that's part of the process, and you're getting there. Clarity is coming through. And your heart is waking up. All right, my dear, I hope that makes sense to you. If it does, please like, share, and subscribe, because it will help my channel grow. And if you really benefit from this reading in any way, it will help other people access it and benefit from them as well. So thank you so much again for being here, and I really enjoyed this coming December. your birthday is coming, like the Capricorn season is coming this second part of December. So happy birthday already. I'm gonna start the next month reading anyway with your sign, and yeah, really enjoy this season. It's a good place to be. Bye bye.